Hey guys, welcome to our second ever transit talk. I'm so excited to be getting this series going for you guys. I know we started off a little rocky with Mercury Retrograde in the first one, really slowing us down, and it really takes some of that excitement out of things when Mercury is going backwards or appearing so. If you've had any kind of miscommunications, technology issues, transportation issues this past week, that's very common, and we'll continue to see more of that, unfortunately. Just don't get super frustrated and pulled into the drama. It's very like high school popularity moments when we look at Mercury. And so if you have already experienced some of that, it will pass. Just realize that's kind of the vibe. Sometimes it can seem kind of immature, like we're not trying to see everybody's perspective when that planet is moving backwards. So do not worry. We do have a really interesting, challenging, but possibly enriching time moving into Scorpio season, and that is going to be the bulk of what today is all about. This transit talk is about the sun moving into Scorpio, or Scorpio season, as we more commonly refer to it. So you guys know that the sun is kind of the all-powerful object in our system that everything tends to revolve around and brings out more of a focus wherever it is shining. And when it is shining on the darkest aspects of ourselves, which are found in the 8th house, things get a little dicey, things get a little scary, uncomfortable, and maybe we experience a little bit more of a part of ourselves that we aren't always aware of. It's like we basically scare ourselves a little bit, be like, oh my God, did I just do that? Kind of a feeling. And so it can be a very shocking time of year, end of October through mid to end November. This year, the sun will be transiting into Scorpio on October 22nd. So that's the official first day for 2020 Scorpio season. And it is starting off kind of in a rocky placement, as with everything this year, being challenged with the stuff going on with Capricorn, the 3 planets still doing some really big shit in that sign, that we will continue to see more and more progress, the more and more hurdles that we overcome, because Capricorn puts hurdles that are extremely tough to take down. I mean, these are systems of work and government that has been established for hundreds of years. And so it takes a lot of tenacity to rewrite some of this stuff. But as you guys are seeing, and as I think everyone is pretty excited about and ready for, like, we are seeing the history change. We are rewriting history passages. We are taking down statues that no longer serve the collective consciousness and what we're trying to stand for. There are movements going on that are pushing for every minority and gender to really, really have the chance that they deserve, and nobody should have preferential treatment. And moving into this Aquarius energy that we'll see in 2021 is doing that. It's equalizing the playing field so everybody can be the most successful, can be the most innovative, and doesn't hesitate from throwing out their most crazy ideas. And so it's very exciting to be walking into a time like that where we're really taking on the age of Aquarius. And Scorpio energy sometimes is key for doing that, because we have Scorpio in the 10th house of structures, of work, career, society, government, when we look at Aquarius energy. And so Scorpio does play a huge part in that transition. It's what we're always aspiring to achieve, where our focus is, and the work that we're doing on a daily basis, And so as you guys will find with Scorpio, they're a lot more comfortable with pushing the envelope, with doing things that are unexpected, and they may even feel a little alienated when it comes down to it, because they have Aquarius in their 4th house of their internal emotions and kind of how they were raised and their family life. And that, you know, saying that blood is really, really thicker, you know what I mean? Like blood, it like really links us to deeper things. And you guys will find that in Scorpio season, stuff comes up with your blood relatives, your family. It is a water season, and so that's a natural inclination for that. And yeah, just very unexpected things. And Scorpio can sometimes give us a shock factor, like stuff that we don't expect or that was going on behind the scenes, and now it's come forth. It is on display. And that alone can be enough to destabilize us, to like put us in a corner almost. Like we feel like, you know, with the news that's coming out during this season, that it's very like not juxtaposed, but it like very much like wants to challenge us. And so it's just so strange, because it's also the energy that pushes us to become the best people that we are. Hold on one second. Let me close this. And so it's really, and we have to make adjustments on the way, just like that, you know? So there is don't walk into Scorpio season thinking that you can handle every part of transformation that's coming your way flawlessly, because that, I feel like, is an idea that is planted in Libra season, and thinking that we can just maintain this image. And Scorpio season really, really, you know, checks our ego in that sense, and is like, oh, you think you can handle this? Okay. And so, you know, really don't get bogged down by not looking your best, not doing it the most perfect way. You know, just changing yourself is the ultimate goal in any way. And so if you're doing that during this season, you're gonna find some success. And, you know, it is one of those seasons that does make us uncomfortable for a lot of reasons. I mean, one, we have this huge celebration called Halloween. Have you heard of it? That everybody, even beforehand, is wearing masks, is, you know, doing pranks. Some that are a little more macabre than like some of the nicer ones, and, you know, and some people use that to their advantage. And Scorpio season really brings out, you know, what path do we take? You know, how far will we go, you know, when we are pushed? You know what I mean? And so the reactions that you have this season really tell you a lot about your fight or flight response, you know, how you evolve. And that's what we're constantly doing. We are constantly shedding our skin, our snake skin, if you will, during Scorpio season. And it is to bring out a newer coat, one that is more adaptable, more flexible, allows us to serpentine a little easier without going noticed. I mean, like, I wish I could share this article with you guys, but I wrote an article about Scorpio season and the energy, and I had this like kind of haunted house moment years ago where I was in one of those huddled groups, and we were walking through a tent of like, you know, scary clowns, and you know, my friends, we were just like all so close, walking as slow as possible. And I was like, wait a minute, why are we walking this slow and allowing every possible scary eventuality happen to us because we're taking our time? You know what I mean? And so it was no sooner that I had that internal dialogue than I realized I had separated myself from the group and was already in the next part of this huge tent. And I was surrounded by 20 like statuesque clowns. Like, it almost looked like a museum, but you knew that like some of them were real people and could like spring to life at any second and scare the daylights out of you. And it was just me and the clowns in that part of the tent. Like, no one else had caught up to me, no one else was there, and it was like such a movie scene, like a horror film scene, like real life. And I was so scared because I have a fear of clowns. I don't think it's like the scariest thing in the world, but there's an obvious fear that I have for them. And in that moment, that was very, very polarizing. And I just decided to just run. I just ran right through it. I was like, fuck this, I'm not taking my time. And then that was the last part of the exhibit. When I got through that and nothing like came out and grabbed me or anything, because I just like sprinted. So I think even if they tried to, like, maybe they couldn't catch me, but I got through my fear. I pushed through it. And, maybe that sprinting reaction was almost like a momentary mask of like, bravery or impatience or whatever. And in that moment, like, I really felt like that was the most Scorpio energy, and like I can identify that as like one of the most Scorpio times in my life. And that's what we're really up against with this season. People will try to scare you. People will try to intimidate you. Not just in a Halloween sense, but people are doing this constantly, because people do use fear as a weapon, I mean, we obviously know that with our president. But it's going on in so many different ways around us constantly, and you may not even realize in the situations that you do it to other people too, because we all do it. And it's really hard to almost hear that and to know that like we do operate, out of a sense of fear. It is some animal instinct in us that allows us to keep pushing. I mean, if we didn't have almost this fear-based mindset, like, I feel like there wouldn't be enough friction in the world to keep bettering ourselves. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a necessary evil. It's almost like we need evil to continually learn that we're better than, or can overcome these challenges and situations in our lives. And so there's a lot of like deep rooted, like philosophical questions when we look at Scorpio season. But overall, if you do find yourself very scared around Halloween, maybe you're not someone that's as comfortable as pushing through your fears. And it could be the literal image of something frightening, or it could just be the feeling that an uncomfortable situation gives you, like if you're called on stage for something, or you're going in for a really big job interview, something like that. And so it's a really interesting time, and I think changing the perception of like it only being scary is something that we all need to do, because Pluto is really playing a huge emphasis in the sky this year. It's coming back, and what it's doing in Capricorn with Saturn and Jupiter is evolving our society. We're taking on these concepts that we really haven't given the time and energy before, and we're realizing like how far along we could have already been if this stuff was implemented like decades ago, if we just continually strive for change. And you can almost see as like, maybe the last decade or two, like we weren't quite ready, and so we're revisiting that evolution, and it's very exciting, and it's also very scary, because people do sometimes horrible things when they're pushed to change, pushed to evolve, because that's the feeling that you get. It's extremely unsettling. Maybe your heart starts racing, you feel like you're gonna throw up, or you get overcome with anger. Everybody has different reactions to each situation, and some people really like to absorb themselves in that mindset, and then that's when that becomes dangerous. When after a situation has already started and ended, if you're still holding on to some darkness, if you are getting comfortable with that aspect, that's when I feel like we enter into a dangerous mindset. Scorpio energy is not meant to stay present at all times. They are moments in our lives, they are periods in our lives where we are trying to build ourselves up because we don't have a natural foundation in that part of our lives where we're being challenged. You know what I mean? It's a part of our lives that we're, you know, like if you were like raised into money and you've never had money issues, you probably won't ever really see Scorpio influencing your second house, or you know, Venus and Scorpio energy really ever doing damage to you. But if it's like something that you know you're already vulnerable with, like say if you're just not somebody that is very detail oriented or organized, then that'll be something that is constantly pushed in your life to try to improve upon. And so it hits us in different ways. But without further ado, let's kind of get into this. This year, Scorpio season is starting off conjunct Mercury in retro. So Mercury just recently went into retro. Please watch the first transit talk video, excuse me, and see, you know, kind of how it's going to affect your sign, because we move through each of the 12 signs and what the focus is for every one of those during this Mercury retrograde. It's a really big factor in Scorpio season this year, because it's starting off in this sign, and that's where we're already looking. And, you know, clear communication is very, very important right now as we go farther into the election, as we, you know, try to maintain a healthy mindset and lifestyle in these COVID parameters. And Mercury is a planet of health, and so we can see us almost scaling back on our health when this event happens. And so it can be a little alarming, you know, to see not as many people wearing masks, or you know, not really striving to keep up good hygiene or social distance, things like that. And you'll likely see that a lot more during this season, because we're just not thinking as clearly, as mindful as we normally are. Maybe there's some stubbornness coming out, and, you know, Scorpio energy doesn't always hold itself accountable. I will say that, you know, it has this amazing effect in your life when you do take it on. I feel like, you know, the limit does not exist to what it could do for you when you do work with it. But does it play by the rules? I don't think so. And so, you know, be very careful of you not doing the right thing and kind of almost sacrificing your evolution in the process, because there are still karmic implications to everything that we do. You know, what we put out there comes back to us. And so be very aware of, doing the right thing. When things get tough, you know. So it's hard, but I know you can do it. We do this more than we realize it, and I think it's just because in the moment we have these natural reactions and instincts that we use that keep pushing us through situations, so we don't stay stuck. And so okay, conjunct Mercury retrograde, so our minds are going to be playing a really big emphasis in this Scorpio season. We're likely to get a little crazy, a little delusional about like the concepts that are coming into us, because we just aren't seeing and speaking clearly. So it feels like there's shadow work going on, especially with the people around you. Like maybe they're not telling you everything. Maybe you're hearing side conversations, or, you know, you're just not trusting like you normally would when we have this kind of energy. And the sun will also be squaring Saturn, Pluto, and the moon. The moon will be in Capricorn the day of October 22nd. And so this is going to be a hella season. With that really starting off, you know, the position of everything when a season or an event starts astrologically can give us insights as to like what the focus is for that season, what's going to play out. And You know, these squares, man, they are really, really tough. The sun doesn't like to be challenged. You know, Leo likes to have dominion. It rules the self and the personal identity. So we may be feeling like who we are is really up against what's going on in the world. You know what I mean? It's like, how do we continually know ourselves through this era of vast change? You know, and like almost putting our wants and needs to the side, you know, and Mars is continually squaring the Capricorn energy too. And so there is a bit like that, you know, selfish kid in us, that, you know, the one that is also where we get the love and the confidence from. You know, it's not as easy for us to really see right now and to really feel ourselves. And so, you know, it's normal to feel almost lost or not sure of where we're going, and just adapting to every day and situation. And that is something that everyone is going through. You may not be able to see it clearly, but it really is. And so you're not alone in that. And just know that we're working on a lot bigger things. And so this shift into making the world a better place is almost taking us outside of ourselves, and we're already jumping into this broader humanitarian consciousness, you know, of Aquarius energy. If we really want to innovate and change the world, you know, we have to think less about ourselves. And we're almost getting this homework of like, what does that look like every day, or what does that feel like? And so this would be a really interesting time to kind of ask those questions and see you know, this evolution of the self, but of the world. I mean, you know, we're reflected in the world and vice versa. You know, things that are going on outside of our daily lives are also coming in, and it's a two-way street. And yeah, it seems like it's a lot harder to get back home when this particular energy and these placements are happening, you know. So let's get into it. Let's start with all the signs here. We're going to be drawing cards as I've kind of thought of doing for these transit talks, so we can get maybe some tarot influence as to how this is going to affect us. Starting with Aries. So Aries, obviously Scorpio energy is in the 8th house where it normally is. You guys are very Mars heavy. That's your ruling planet. And in traditional astrology, Scorpio also rules Mars with you. So this season can feel like, okay, I get this. This isn't my element. It's not a fire season, but like I understand the intensity. I understand the impatience. I understand the challenges, the rebelliousness, you know, and doing all of that. Are you guys going to feel up to the task of doing Scorpio season the right way? I'm not so sure. You know, Mars and Aries, we're still backpedaling a little bit, learning about our childhood, maybe the trauma associated with it, you know, and how we just take action. We're trying to think of smarter ways to go about things. And again, as we enter Aquarius season, we're thinking smart. We're working smart, not hard. That was something that one of my bosses told me all the time, and she was an Aquarius. And yeah, it felt very much that. And look, speaking of Queen of Swords, so yes, we are we're working smart, not hard, Aries. So spend your time wisely this season. You don't have as much energy as usual, so it's you're really going to need to rely on your wits to help guide you and navigate you. And especially, there may be some females out there that really want to help you in this process. If you're just not thinking or clearly seeing things clearly, there may be a friend. You know, that Mercury energy oftentimes brings people up in our lives because it's a social sign, it's an air sign. And so there may be somebody that really wants to help you, you know, find this gentleness as all these retrogrades are playing out in the personal planets. You know, we are becoming a little more sensitive. And we're trying to kind of walk both worlds, and that's not an easy thing to do. And you can see her energy isn't very direct, which is very much how you guys are. And she's off to the side. I mean, she's not even, like, her chair is even turned. Like, she's not hiding that. She's not giving you her undivided attention. And so you guys may feel like you're, as hard as you want to cry and shout and scream, nobody is really giving into your impulses right now. And so you have to think of smarter ways to get what you need. Okay, Taurus. Taurus, ooh, fun, okay. So we may have some trips coming along. This is a really big adventure card, Knight of Wands. He loves looking good, and Scorpio season is where we see in your 7th house. So you really want to look flirty, fashionable, make an entrance kind of stuff. You know, maybe you've already been buying some stuff, you know, changing your wardrobe, just making things looking a little nicer. Yeah, and so Scorpio season is, you know, interesting. Maybe you guys do flirt with the darkness a little bit, because that is your natural 7th house ruler. And so it's not yourself. You don't necessarily understand it, but we're very intrigued working with opposite energy. But it does take two to tango. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're meeting anyone particularly special this season, but you know, there is some fun involved. So especially if you have some trips going, it looks like those are coming in at a good time for you guys to tap out and, you know, maybe just give you some variety, some much needed, almost playtime. So, you know, watch your ego a little bit. You know, if you are hogging up all the attention wherever you go, you know, try to simmer that a little. Yeah, maybe, you know, get in touch with that darker side. So have some fun with it. All right, Gemini, 6th house. So, okay. Well, I'm going to take it this way. So this seems more so the Scorpio energy. 8 of Cups. So Mercury's in retrograde. We don't like that. And it's in Scorpio, double whammy. And this is in your 6th house. So those are not fun placements. You know, you guys may feel like you are running away from a situation. You're scared, you're fearful. You don't want to commit. You know, you just almost want to be given things. And, you know, you may even be running home, you know, or kind of like disconnecting or laying down like who's really important in your lives and leaving out everyone else, you know what I mean? So it's an emotionally vulnerable time for you guys, Scorpio season. You know, you're gonna feel tired and like you just kind of want to throw in the towel. There's a lot of routine involved, you know, with that 6th house energy, but there's also a focus on health. And so there's gonna be a time where, you know, you're like, I don't know if this situation is good for me anymore. I don't know if this person is good for me anymore. Like, is this the kind of love that I deserve, or is this just what I'm accepting? So yeah, so really ask you know, yourself that. You know, Scorpio energy can bring out our sexual desires and impulses, but it doesn't necessarily lead us into the right romantic or deep connection direction. You know what I mean? And so we have a harder judgment, as opposed to like, okay, this feels good, but is it right for me? Or this physically, you know, look, as I'm talking to you guys, a spider is on my hand. Okay, it's Gemini. Okay, sorry, I don't like to kill anything if I can help it. Okay, I think he's gonna. Okay, so yeah, you'll feel a little sensitive, feel a little vulnerable, but we all will, so you're not alone in this. But if you gotta walk away, then walk away. Okay, Cancer, 5th house. This is an exciting season usually for Cancer, yeah? And you guys, you're right on it. So 5th house can bring in a clearer focus or perception of what we're working on. So you guys are getting the undiluted Scorpio energy. You know, it's very much apparent that, you know, you are ready for this. You like this kind of festive, Hallows Eve time, and just like using, it's kind of a nice release, for you to really have a time where it's a lot more acceptable to get those darker impulses out, and maybe those whims that you guys have as you get, challenged with a lot of tough emotions on the daily, depending on where the moon goes. And so you're like, oh, good. Finally, my behavior is acceptable during Scorpio season. No one can really like judge me if I'm being dark or just want to, be my Morticia Adams self. I don't know. So looks like you guys are very well ready for this internal evolution. So, it isn't easy, but it is worth it. And so really take this on, come out of that shell of your guys. This is a water season, the energy. So you're a lot better suited to handle what comes up during this time. So, all right, Sagittarius. Oh, this is a Leo, sorry. I feel like I skipped a lot. Okay, Leo, Scorpio season, oh boy. Okay, so work. So, Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So we're gonna have a really hard time detaching from this perfectionist mindset, what it is we're aspiring to be, whatever course of study that, we are trying to become an expert in, what our apprenticeship, whatever it is, we're a fire sign, so we're always looking to learn. We're always looking for some sort of school that allows us to, to broaden our vision. Because we always see ourselves first and foremost, and we're working really hard at it, but we aren't really finding the energy to keep the motivation, to wake up and, to know that like, there's another day of work today, just got to do it. This is like a very challenging adulting card almost. It's like being responsible. In a time where we feel very personally attacked. Scorpio season isn't fun for us. It's in our 4th house, which can bring out a lot of family issues, a lot of like blood related issues, and even sickness. And so we're gonna have to try extra hard to kind of keep a clear head and a clean body, not just hygienically, but like metaphorically, like what are we taking in right now and what are we like getting rid of? Because in this season, in our 4th house, it can really bring out some of our wounds, or we can find wounds, like things that are just going to scar us. And it's important to we're okay, so there's a dichotomy between the sun and darkness. And since we represent the sun, everything in this world has a counter opposite. And especially with Leos, we always know that there's always a challenge. There's never just one way. There's always something opposing. And with the Scorpio energy, it's not necessarily opposing, it's a square, but it's really, really hard to work with. But we do need the darkness to be able to step out into the light, to be able to claim what we're trying to accomplish, and to tell the world like, this is who I am, this is what I want. And weirdly enough, the darkness will help us realize who we are again. So if you haven't been feeling yourselves, like this is a weird opportunity, if we do the work, that we can kind of re-access some of that confidence by letting out, some of that darkness that we hold on to so much. Leos can get very emotionally intense. It's not as light as people make us out to be. And we take things very personally, and we take them very deeply. Very almost like a Pisces, like a Pisces that's just a little more sporty, a little more maybe loud, but those sensitivities are there. And Scorpio season is just like, okay, you either you either participate or you're off the team kind of a thing, you know what I mean? So it doesn't really, it's not going to hold the space for us. We have to claim it. And so there is a lot for you to do. There's a lot on your plate. You're not quite where you want to be financially, work-wise, and so you just need to hear that, like, if you're not at a comfortable place, then that means that you can't get comfortable. Is what it is. All right, Virgo. Ooh, Virgo. Love. So the World card, wow. You guys are really having an interesting year. I feel like this was you guys a few weeks ago. You got the World card too. You're really coming into your own. And even with Mercury retrograde, your ruling planet, look how well you guys are handling this. This is going to be happening in your third house. Scorpio season happens in your third house of communication. You know, you putting it out there, whether it's an article you've wrote, whether it's just some personal joie de vivre, you know, you look really well suited during this season. Scorpio energy is a little more cynical, is a little more sarcastic. It kind of plays with our minds a little bit, and you guys kind of like a puzzle, you know. It's not as straightforward as I think people think you are, and I think you know that. And so that secretive nature and everything, you know, is well supported in this season. And so you guys are like, oh, okay, I can vibe with this, you know. So the world is really just, you've done it all. I mean, this is a really big kind of closing out season for you guys. When we get to Sagittarius, that's all about expansion, and you guys are already kind of feeling that, like putting everything out into the world, traveling. Maybe you and Taurus have that in common. You may have a trip coming up. It may even be work related. I feel like Scorpio season allows for a lot more stuff tied to work, because it is so draining, and that's an area that is constantly a focus in our lives. And yeah, so we love the attention for once. You guys, maybe because you feel like everyone's wearing masks and they're not necessarily who they are all the time, that you can tap into that and kind of find this inner actor and this inner personification, and just run with it. And it looks like it's a really good exercise of you. All right, so Libra. Okay, we're at the halfway point. All right, Libra. Oof. Okay. So air signs, you guys are getting this so far. This is a pattern. So 8 of Cups. So again, what I said with Gemini, you're finding it very hard to walk away, to just kind of quit it. These are family matters coming up. Maybe you are realizing that you have very different ideas, or you know, political stances, or, you know, some kind of hurt that you've constantly been carrying with you for a long time. And you know what I mean? You're turning your back on it finally. And, you know, the hurt can almost come in that process. Yeah. So, like, it may look good on paper, what you have, but why are we still at the shore of our emotions? You know, why is it still nighttime? Why, you know, why does this not look very fulfilling? Because just because it looks like we have what we want doesn't mean that it is what we need. And you guys are realizing that, and your instinct is to finally walk away, to just be like, enough's enough. We've run this course, you know, and it's time to go. Yeah. So this is happening in your second house, your foundation. So this is stuff that is with you a lot. You know, it's kind of your surroundings, like what you get comfort in, and you know, and so the things that you're wearing, the people that you're seeing, you know, the walls surrounding you are just seeming very toxic. And that, you know, you have all these things that you can claim and check the boxes, but they don't really give you this sense of like independence, of fulfillment, of love. Yeah. So it'll be a hard time, but it's something that needs to happen. And I'm proud that you guys are like taking the necessary action. Okay, so Scorpio, this is your season. What have we got? Okay, ooh, yeah. So I think like with a normal reading, like this card would maybe dredge up some fear in people, but for you guys, I feel like this is a really good one. The moon. So the moon, our sensitivities are out in the open. This is where, you know, I feel like you guys are the pranksters and you're really going to be the ones around Halloween that do put on the mask and use that fear. But if you do it in a healthy way, in a respectful way, I think it's a really good outlet for this internal subconscious stuff, you know, and just like with Cancer, you know, you guys as water signs are using this energy of this element, and you're like, oh yeah, this is that time of year where I can like really release this darker stuff, and it be okay, it not be as closely monitored or, you know, not as out in the open. You know, the moon can almost do things without others noticing. It's very elusive. And so these are like people that move in and around you and you get these feelings from, but you can't necessarily pin down what it is that they're doing. But you guys do the investigative work. You do love to like go into the dark web or like really analyze someone's actions and recall that stuff when you're ready to expose them. And so, yeah, you guys are finding out all the secrets. You know, this is a sensitive card, and so you're pushed to own up to kind of your elusive behavior. And so, but it looks like, you know, I don't feel like you guys are going to resist it too much. You're going to be like, okay, Halloween time, like everybody's got some shit that they can come clean about, and here's mine. What's in my bag, you know? So not so bad there. So Sagittarius, let's see, this is in your 12th house, Scorpio energy. It's in your subconscious house. So you guys really feel the fear around Halloween. And you may even say like, I don't want any part of it. Like maybe you really do not like participating in this. This is one adventure where you're just like, oh, I'd rather sit this one out. So the Hierophant is this philosophical, spiritual kind of guru, you know, somebody that does get a lot of attention and notice. And, you know, this is very much you guys. I mean, this is Taurus's card, but I feel like this really suits you guys too. And this shows that there is a part of you that can be devoted, that can stick to something, that doesn't always have to be moving around and have so much variety. And so in Scorpio season, you're going to find that you are actually consistent, and where you put your money where your mouth is, and vice versa this season. And so people can really trust you, people can really rely on you, and they really may need your help. So be there for those important people this season as they come to you with their darker secrets and impulses. And yeah, just be that leader that I know you can be. You know, there's no need for you to pretend like everything you're doing is angelic or divine, because we know you're still a human. And so try not to make yourself out to be this like messiah figure. We can get a little egocentric when we get the Hierophant because we have the title, we look good in the outfit and everything, and this spiritual emphasis can kind of go to our heads, can make us think that we're a little more important than we are, when we're really just holding space for more spiritual truths. And this is passing. This isn't something that you're always going to have. So, you know, try not to get, you know, too attached to this, even if you do look really good in this role. All right, Capricorn. 11th house, Scorpio. Fun. This is the time of year where you guys like the weird, you know, where you guys are like, oh, you know what? It doesn't bother me so much. When typically you're like on everyone that's weird like a hawk. You know, you're just like, oh no, you can't do it that way. It's being done this way. I mean, the rules are right there on that board. That's what we do here, you know? Yeah, you guys like it. You know, 11th house is all about embracing change, you know, and here it is, and joining in on maybe a new move, a new field of study. Maybe you guys are starting back school. There is some success in taking risks, and especially when you're coming at it from an approach of helping everybody. And so this is that time for you guys to really think about how your actions affect everyone, and joining in for like brotherhood or some sort of ceremony. And so, you know, this is a very celebratory time. And, you know, maybe there's going to be some fun events around Halloween, or, I mean, Scorpio season isn't just Halloween, but it just comprises so much. Or even like pagan ones. Like, I think this is the card for Beltane, but I think that is like a spring ceremony. I know there's one around Halloween. I just don't know what it's called. Samhain, maybe. And yeah, so you guys are ready, and you're not alone. Like, you have collaborated with somebody, maybe someone you didn't even expect. You know, 11th house is very different from us. It's almost the people that we think live their life in such a unique way, and you're like, how could I ever do that? That's so different from my world. But yet you come together and you work well together. I mean, 11th house is where we see friendship, we see community, we see connections. Yeah, so great season. Looks like, you know, you guys are moving direct again. Saturn, Pluto right there. I know it's been a really, really big challenge for you guys. I think even more so than everyone else. And that's saying something in 2020, but you guys have had the 3 toughest planets. Jupiter making it a little easier, but also making it bigger in your sign. And I don't think anyone else can say that and say that they've survived this year, because it's all been about Capricorn energy. And yeah, and you guys are like already feeling like little things here and there that are like giving you indication like you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path, and just keep at it. That's like our 4 of Wands moment, is like, okay, this is confirmation that like I'm headed in the right way, and now I've got somebody along the ride with me. Don't rush too hard. Take your time and enjoy what you have as it comes to you. Don't rush the celebration. Don't rush the process. There is a lot of deep work to be doing, and you guys know that Capricorn energy, like, it takes a long time to take down those walls. And so you guys know how high these mountains go, how high these government buildings go, and the paperwork goes back. And so, yeah, try not to rush it. Try not to bring your agenda to everything you're doing right now. Aquarius, all right. Scorpio in your 10th house. Ooh, okay. Wheel of Fortune, love this. So this is one of my favorite cards. You know, this is trust. Trust that what is coming in for you guys during this season is really wanting to raise you up. You know, we may be second guessing the things that we're doing, Mercury in retrograde, or we may be doing them twice altogether. There's a lot of repetition with that sign. And that's why it moves so fast, is because it brings the same situations again and again for us. And you guys are like really being given some opportunities here that seem very out of the box, even for you, and that's saying something. So take it and run, or just do it, you know what I mean? And stay optimistic. Like, the right things are gonna happen when they need to happen. Trust in that. Yeah, and just don't doubt this. Don't like try to see how everything is gonna play out right now, because that 10th house can limit our vision, makes us a little more focused on just doing the work and not necessarily scaling back, which is what you guys are all about usually. So you may find this is a weird time for you to just get nitty and gritty and do everything that comes, but not necessarily try to put it into a bigger emphasis of like, okay, well, if I do this, like, what is that going to lead to? Don't do that. Don't question this season. Just keep moving along. Keep moving forward. All right. Last but not least, Pisces, 9th house. Ooh, 9th house is fun. Oh, not this year. Okay. So, speaking of the house, it looks like it is high time for you guys to get out of it. When you get out of your house, when you go outside, when you go to an event, do Halloween stuff, do spooky stuff, you know, go into the graveyards or the haunted houses, but be safe. But you guys need some variety to shake you out of this, like, waking dream. This almost like prison-like mentality. Maybe the house has kind of made you feel like you're very limited in what you can do right now, and is almost making you guys sick. And if we sit with an emotion for so long, it can physically make us sick too. And that's a big thing that I see with this card constantly, is that this is an indication that you could very well be coming into a cold or COVID even. So really, really watch yourself, be safe. You guys aren't necessarily naturally healthy because you are the opposite of Mercury or Virgo energy. So you have to work extra hard to maintain health. And that's so important right now. And, you know, Scorpio season is giving you that opportunity to let out that darker stuff, the fears, maybe because you guys are more sensitive, like you get more in your head about like those things that you're seeing or the things that you're hearing, those spooky sounds and images. But if anything, do something light, like go to a pumpkin patch, do, you know, some kind of activities that just engage your mind less. There may be more of a physical nature. That'll allow you to kind of step outside of this place that you feel stuck in, you know? So not crazy, not bad, but just it can be unhealthy when we sit with that energy for too long. And so, yeah, Mercury confusing the sign that's always confused. But we love you guys nevertheless. You bring that imagination and that adaptability to everything that you do. And so remember that that's your power to own whenever something gets hard. You know, that you remain fluid and flexible. You don't just like stay put and wrap yourself in fear. Like, you guys are, you know, changing shape every day. And remember that you always have that capability. You just have to remind yourself that. So this is all I have for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And check out what's going on Instagram, Tarot with Tyler. We have weekly tarot readings happening there. And I'm in the process of like what is working and what isn't working, what direction am I going into, already feeling into this Scorpio energy and making some changes. So I hope you guys will stay tuned. And the next transit talk, it looks like will be Venus in Libra. So excited for that. That's where she loves to be. We're going to be looking and feeling great. And yeah, just turning on those sexy vibes this Scorpio season. So stay tuned for next week's episode. And that's all I got.